Good morning, lovely people. Happy Father's Day and welcome to the Black Pill Radio Show. I'm your host, Mr. Tyler, and today we are celebrating dads, fathers, father figures around the world. And I got three guys on my panel who are fathers, and we're going to talk about some of the special things that fathers are doing with their children and in their community. As always, I'm going to let them introduce themselves first, and then we'll get into things. So I'm going to start with Brother Ron.
Good morning, and happy Father's Day to all those that are tuning in. And Ron Peterson, representing the Titus Project. But first of all, Tyler, let me just recognize the creator within you that put these forums together, put these panel discussions together. Thank you, and thank God for you on this day. Your question is around fathers and what it means to me. Well, I'm a grandfather, so I'm working on my second generation of fatherhood, and I was blessed with an opportunity to be a single grandfather when I took on my grandson, and as families do, we had to pull together, brought him from Atlanta to here, and I had to change my whole lifestyle being single. I had to change my whole lifestyle around being a single granddad, to not doing the pop-up dates and all that kind of stuff. And so, it takes on a different responsibility to that. But one of the things that I think that is important for us to cross the board, and two of the things that I want to share with the dads out there, is that we've got to focus on two critical characteristics, two critical spiritual things, and that's love and wisdom. And that's some of the things that are really lacking in our community and lacking in who we call ourselves, in terms of be dad and in terms of being men. And that can be evidence across the board, no matter what, religious institutions or churches or what have you. There's a lack of love and a lack of wisdom in that. And we can see that perpetuated in the Christian church, Islam, across the board. And I say that in light of when there's love and there's wisdom, our communities would be a lot different. I mean, you can't come into our neighborhoods and do the kind of things when we have love and wisdom, because in terms of love, we're giving out a certain spiritual vibration that creates a dynamic within the community, within our community that, love and hate and all that kind of stuff can't exist in the same environment. And then we talk about wisdom, and we're able to, make the right decisions at the right times, about things. And so part of my focus through the organization that I started last year, the Titus Project, which is a mentoring program, is begin to discuss and to talk about, love and wisdom with our brothers across. No matter what spiritual, cultural background. Those are two universal principles that supersedes all. I just think that as we, on this day, as we focus in first loving ourselves and understanding that piece, and then the wisdom and I don't know, folks, pray or ask, the creative force or whoever they may relate to for that. The richest man that ever, as the Bible says, that was in the world was Solomon, and he had all the wealth and all of that, and he couldn't build the temple for God, but he had to ask for wisdom to be able to do that. So, that should be a lesson for all of those who ascribe to that and throughout. And as we see, as it plays itself out on the world stage today, even from our president on down, if there was more love and wisdom in the world, I think we'd be in a different situation today.
All right. So Ron set it off with the opening of the question that I didn't ask yet, but Ron knew the pre-question before we actually went live, which is cool. So I just want the two fellas to introduce themselves, and then we'll get back to the question.
Good morning, New York. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there that is fathers, grandfathers, daddies. My name is James Young III. I'm the community leader of Neighborhood Benches in the Bronx. It's a youth program for youth violence and youth incarceration. And like the brother said, we target youth, man, and try to give back that love. We bridge the gap between caring adults and young youth out there that has lost their way.
Peace. Good morning, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Good morning. My name is Kayvon Rivers. I'm the founder of a nonprofit organization called I Am My Community. And I Am My Community, we promote public safety through mental health awareness, parenthood classes, and we also got an anti-violence unit. That means that when somebody gets shot or killed in the street, we take it upon ourselves with zero to do with the police. We use our street credibility to find out who happened to who and how it went down. And then we reach out to both sides to try to come up with some type of understanding so there won't be no type of retaliation.
All right, so as you can see, the brothers are doing positive work in the community, and that's what we need. We need more of that. Ron talked about wisdom and love, and that's definitely what we need out there, and we also need mentorship. So our children don't go astray, and they can stay on the right path, and then that builds better families and better communities, and that's the purpose of life, right? So we're going to come back to that opening question, which I'm going to throw to Ron. Today's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. And what does it mean to you specifically? Forget the outside thing, just you internally being a father and a grandfather.
Well, it's about legacy. It's about really knowing, who I am, so I can create that for my children and for my grandchildren. Is bringing my A game at all times so that they can benefit from that. As I mentioned in my opening, I had an opportunity to be a single granddad, and that was born out of my grandson in middle school. And he was just in between those two worlds, doing the right thing or peer pressure. And so we got together, the family got together. I found out about it down in Georgia area. I'm up in New York. And, I had the space, the opportunity, and all those kind of things. I said, no, well, let me do that. Bring him here to New York and let me get him through middle school and set him on a course that will ideally that will help him understand, what it is to be the young man and then a man, and then ideally at that point in time when he has the opportunity to make those choices and decisions to become, a father. And so, that meant, as I said, I was used to, popping up. Somebody said, let's go to a ball game or something. I had a friend that had season tickets to the Liberty, and she would call, hey, I had to give all of that up, but I didn't have baby care. So that was that at that particular point. And that also opened my eyes up to what a single mom goes through. I was around a good bit for my daughters, and then their mother and I kind of broke up. But that was when when it was on me, what it was to be a single parent. To going to school, to making sure that things were taken care of, food, and, I'm working and all that kind of stuff, and that they do. And that gave me a different level of respect for single parenthood. There again, it's about the choices that we make, and so it helped me to really temper the choices and the decisions around fatherhood. And then also, I was brought up with three dads. Even though came up in public housing, I was blessed with three dads in my life. I had my natural father, my stepdad, and I had a community dad. That community dad makes sure that the mentoring programs, that we had summer jobs, at the after-school program, he ran all of that. And so that was those things were icons for me. They never left my life. My natural father until he passed away several years ago, my stepdad until he passed away. They were all played an integral part, and they had different points of view and different things that they brought. And so, it said too much is given, much is expected. And so I've got to be this kind of dad based on the history and then what they laid down for me. Back in the days, then, it was a lot different. It was a lot different in the community. It was a lot different respect in terms of, across the board. I grew up in public housing, but the public housing police, they had a different respect, and we had a different respect for them. They would come play ball with us. It was just different. And I think we kind of got away from those integral parts of who we are relative to our color and all that kind of stuff. Because that same thing happened across the board. We just don't hear about it. It's about that love that we have for self, and then the wisdom in terms of making those kinds of choices and decisions. And we didn't pass that on. And so what it means for me is that to be able to do that, and so I'm always with my grandsons, They're down in the Maryland and in the Georgia area. Every opportunity I can, I'm out, doing something with them, giving their moms and their dads an opportunity to leave, and then our relationship establishes, which is a little different than that. So that's what it means to me, Tyler.
Excellent points. And legacy is very important, especially that bloodline and that heritage. We want to continue that. So I want to throw the question to James. I know you're a new father. So congratulations and happy Father's Day.
Thanks, man.
So being that you have a really young child, and you kind of get an opportunity to maybe start fresh because she's young. She's not like she's 10, right?
Yeah.
So from the perspective of how you would want to raise her and being a father to her, just her, what does that mean to you?
It means a whole lot. I mean, I'm very blessed, man, that she came here with all her amenities, man. She's adorable. She's beautiful. And I really take this opportunity now more than I ever have with my other two, because my other two, I was in prison. And I think my focus right now is connection. I think fathers and children today are not as connected as they should be. So as well as I was back in the day. My son and my daughter, when they was born, I was doing time. I was in prison. And, missing out on those first steps, those cries at night, changing of the diapers, I'm getting that scenery now. And it means a whole lot to me. My son used to always tell me those things, man, when I was away that I couldn't do. So connection is very important with me, fathers to fathers. To be there, not only as to give them presents, but to be there as presents. Presents mean a lot. A lot of fathers today think that because they give gifts or they give money to the parents or the mother that they doing a self-justice. But I believe that's like that's where we failed at. We failed it. You have to be there. You know what I mean? You have to be there. Your presence alone means a lot to these kids. You know what I mean? I know when I wake up every morning and my daughter reaches out to me, that's like no riches in the world can change that. You know what I mean? That's what it's about.
So how do your older kids feel? Like, do they want to be involved with the young child, or do they feel a little resentment?
My daughter, she's 25. My son is 15. They both is in out of state. They both is one is in Maryland and one is in Florida. I watched my daughter grow up. I watched my son grow up, but I had got the tail end of it. When they was about 2-4 years old, that's when I was in their life. But as to now, I'm there from the beginning. And there's not no jealousy part there. I have a saying, family, man, their family ties, it goes deeper than people believe. It's all about your roots, again, connection, reconnected from the beginning, that love, that desire that we once had for her mother, we should also have that for the kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad there's no animosity between the kids. Because siblings need to know each other and hopefully be each other's lives. It's not always that easy when you're dealing with other parents who are not yours, but if it's possible, that's a good thing. So we're going to throw it to Kayvon. Tell me what it means to be a father and a grandfather, and happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Well, that supporting role is like you're the leader, the leader of the family. It's like every business got a president. So it's like you the president. So it's like everything depends on you, the way you carry yourself. You know what I'm saying? The way you go get a job, the way you speak. Everybody's watching. All the kids is watching, and sooner or later they're gonna take on to the things that you're doing. So it's good that you lead by a positive example. I got 4 daughters and 1 son. My oldest daughter is 30, and then my youngest daughter is 14. That son 20 in between there. Then I got 4 grandkids. My oldest grand is 11. My youngest grand just turned 1. Then I got about, like, no exaggeration, I got about 40 godchildren. Literally. About 40 of them.
The godfather.
Yeah. Got about 40 godchildren. And literally, that I'd be having to go to their school, and I'd be having to go here, and they come and see me. And, it's like the whole community, they have a kid for years. They just automatically name me the godfather. So I got a whole community, man, myself. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it just make you feel good, man, especially like a day to day, you know, you get your little cards and everybody come up and see you and, you know, yo, daddy, you know, happy Father's Day, you know, it's a token of appreciation, you know, and it makes you feel good, especially when you doing your part. And, you know, like the fathers, you don't really get nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know, the mothers, you go out and you do what you got to do with Mother's Day. So when the Father's Day do come and they just come and show you the love, you know, it's worth $1 million, you know. So
when you mentioned 40 godchildren, I'm thinking of a movie script right there. You could make a movie out of that. That's a beautiful thing that you are interested in being involved in that many people's lives.
Yeah.
So we know with Father's Day, there's a lot of celebrations going on today. Is there any events or any street parties, anything like that you guys want to mention so people can maybe attend later today?
Yeah, today we got our Father's Day event in the Bronx on 184th and Grand Avenue. That's like 1 block from Fordham Road. And we have a big event today, you know, for a couple of people that passed away and also for all the fathers in the community. So, you know, something like that. Like I said, you don't see too many things happen on Father's Day. Mother's Day, every restaurant in town is sold out. On Father's Day, we got to make our own cookout.
We got a grill.
Yeah, we got to bring the grill out. So we bringing the grill out. Everybody invited. We're going to be on 184th Street in Grand Avenue. We're going to start like 2 o'clock. They said it would stop raining about 2 o'clock. So we'll try to come out at that time.
So I want to give a shout out to Faith, which is an organization that stands for Fathers Alive in the Hood. I know they have a Father's Day barbecue out in Jamaica, Queens. Just go to their website, faith.org or fathersaliveinthehood.org, and you'll be able to get the information. But I know it's on Foch Boulevard, and I think it's 150th Street or 150th Avenue out in Jamaica, Queens. Free food, free games, free stuff for the kids, so going out there and support that. If there's any other fatherhood events going on in the community around the country in America, just hit up the chat room, post that, let people know, or hit us up on our Instagram page, which is Black Pill Radio. And through there, you can post some stuff up, tag some stuff to any events that's going on. So I want to move the conversation to what we are doing in the community as fathers. So I know, Ron, you mentioned the Titus Project. Tell us what that's about and how it directly helps fathers, people in general, but let's stick to fathers for today.
The Titus Project, it was inspired last year into 2016, and it comes out of the book of Titus and in the Bible, where Titus, and it just kind of gives a backdrop and why it was important to me. We talked earlier offline about titles and things of that nature. And so Titus was the kind of a person that didn't have a title. You know, back in the biblical days, I mean, you had to be apostle or bishop for somebody to listen to you, stuff like that. But Titus was anointed and what have you, and he went, you know, based on Apostle Paul, what have you, to tell the community how to live according to their way. He had a title, you know, he just had a certain calling and a certain lesson. So the Titus Project for me came out of that. You got to have a title to do what you're called to do. And so, which is, for me is mentoring as well. Started last year, got the inspiration to do it and what have you. And born out of that, first, for the mentees, I'm putting together a curriculum and a mentee training program, because everybody that thinks they're a good mentor may have a good sense of that, but there's a certain way, there's certain laws, there's a lot of different things in terms of mentoring that one needs to know to ensure that we've got the quality of mentoring program, putting together a curriculum in respect to mentoring curriculum and being able to do that, then put the infrastructure together so that we'll be able to assign, this will be a national thing, so that we'll be able to identify and assign mentors to that. And I say that in particularly because in terms of the training aspect of it, and we got to know who in a mentoring relationship, who we're matching up. You know, somebody got to be the person that kind of like sees that. The brother said he's over Godfather over 40. That means that they have a certain respect for him, that know what he says has value to those 40 kids. And oftentimes we empowering the power to others to be a part of something. We don't even know who they are, kind of what they bring to the table. So part of that training will be to identify that and to put a spin on how we want that mentoring relationship to be. And then we're going to roll that out to the entire community to the latter part of 2017. But, you know, Tyler, I've always been part of the fatherhood movement nationally and doing things that wise. So this is an additional extension of that. I've lived a life that, again, had to give back, of just giving back at all times, at all opportunities, and whatever I do for the community, whether through other organizations, partnering up with other organizations to help their capacity, fundraising, etc., to now the Titus Project, which will be rolled out. I've got one, matter of fact, mentor, and we're working with her. It's both for male and female, and working with her to just kind of bring her up to date in terms of who she is as a person, so that she'll understand how to transfer that information onto and be transparent in how she deals with others. Excellent.
And if people wanted to get in contact with you or look at the website, if you have one, any social media pages, how would they go about that?
Titus202@gmail.com.
Got it. All right, so now we're going to throw it to James. James is running an excellent program. So I want you to tell everybody what the program is about, how you got involved in the program, and how it benefits fathers.
Neighborhood Benches is a very, very indeed program for the youth. As we all know, youth violence and youth incarceration is very high in New York City and abroad. What we do is we bridge the gap between caring adults and young youth inside the NYCHA developments. When I was growing up, we had neighbors there that used to talk to us on the benches when we did something wrong or if we did something good. It was not like a discipline thing. It was something that we was known to. It was normal. Nowadays, we don't see that anymore. So we're bringing that back. We're going into the NYCHA developments. We talking to the leaders there. We bringing them out to go talk to the youth along with us. You know what I mean? It's very important that youth and adults close that gap that we had. I remember when my mother used to be at work from 1 in the morning till 12 at night, and our neighbors used to tell us, "Hey, don't do this," or correct us when we was wrong. Nowadays, they can't do that anymore. The respect level there is different. The trust level there is different for us adults. Adults don't trust our youth as we did back in the day. Children, they have the total disrespect toward adults. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to bridge that gap again. We do mentoring, we do leadership programs, we do everything for them. Whatever works, that worked for us, we're trying to bring that back.
So if they wanted to get in touch with you guys or the website, social media pages, how would they go about doing that? Neighborhoodbenches.org.
To get from the curse, you can go online and you can see our website there. You can go to Neighborhood Benches on Instagram, Neighborhood Benches on Facebook.
Excellent. Hope everybody goes out and support. So I'm going to throw it to Kay Bourne now. I know you're running an organization that's community-based as well, so tell us a little bit about that and how you got involved with it.
Well, like I said, the name of our program is I Am My Community, and the way I got that name is I was working for a part of Curb Violence in a place called Bragg, which was Bronx Violence Against Gun Violence. And I worked there for about 15, 16 months. And in the process of me working there, I'm coming to my community where I'm from, and people was coming at me, but, they have other problems. Some people was homeless, people going through domestic violence problems, people going through court problems. So, it was too much going on. So I decided to cut my things off with Curb Violence, and I started my own program called I Am My Community, so that way I could reach out and handle all the problems that's in the community, and the things that I can't handle, I can refer them to other places and other programs. So that's why it's so important to network. So we do a lot of networking, and we have like monthly dinners where we get people together, the whole community, so people could just learn to break bread together, and be around each other in unity and just networking and trying to help each other, each one teach one, instead of each one beat one, And inside my community, we have a parenthood class, and we stress on that parenthood class, hard, because we try to take it back to where it take a whole village to raise one kid. We try to bring that back. So we get together once or twice a week, and we just have a whole room full of people, man, and everybody speak about how they can help each other, and you may have a problem with your kid, and I can help you with it because I already went through it with my kid. And we just try to bring that bridge back into the community, because a lot of love was lost to the parents and the youth when the crack era came out. Before that, you had everybody that had come out, and regardless of what happened, you may be not fight for yourself, but if somebody disrespected your mother or your father, or called your mother or father something, you came outside and you represented. But then once the crack came inside our communities and all that, parents was their first customers. So that right there, it really hit our neighborhood hard. It hit our family hard. And, we got to get back together, and everybody got to stand strong. We got to build these families back inside these communities, because a lot of these kids, we look at and we say, why the kids acting like that? Why the kids acting like that? Them kids was born drug addicts. You know what I'm saying? And their mothers and fathers was crackheads, and they was running around the street and basically just left them. The drug was more important than the household. So we try to get them kids out there, some insurance, and let them know that we all, like he said, you may not be a father, but you are a father.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
And some of these parents today might not be doing crack, but they popping mollies and ecstasy.
That's right.
And these kids are
K2.
Yeah, and they're like pill babies now,
Yeah.
They're not black pill babies because they don't have that education, but they're like pill babies right now. And you mentioned about networking. Network is very important. That's going to determine your net worth, who you're networking with. And it's really important that the community groups work with each other as well.
Exactly.
A lot of the community groups are doing their own little thing, and they don't want to be involved with that group, and they're competing for funding.
That's right.
And that doesn't help the community.
It doesn't.
But if the community groups did work together a little bit more, I think we would have better results in our community.
Me and K-Born, you discussed this about a month ago. It's not about who's doing this or who's doing that better. Funding is going to come to you regardless. If you're doing the work, I think that's where that money should go to. Wherever your strong points at, that's where they should put the money at. I am my community, they're in the Bronx. Neighborhood benches, we're in the Bronx. We both are targeting different things as far as the youth. And the money that they putting out for nonprofits, there's only going for nonprofits instead of just for I am my community or neighborhood benches that's doing certain things. And that's what they need to start doing.
Because there's some community groups out there that are trying to do everything.
And they can't. And that's where they fell in.
A lot of money to do everything, but sometimes they're really not even concerned with doing everything. They're concerned with funding and salaries and that kind of thing. So it's important that the community knows the kind of money that's coming into these groups. So hopefully the community can have a say in how that money is distributed as well. Because I know in the community where I live, there's some things that are being done that the community just doesn't need. If you have an ESL program and 90% of the community is black, I don't think we should be spending that much resources for an ESL program. But that's a big thing that they're doing in that community. I won't say any names. But we as a community, we need to decide where our resources go. We spend a lot of money on basketball tournaments and football tournaments, but we're not spending a lot of money on education. We're not training and teaching career path curriculums and programs for these kids so when they grow up, or at least when they get into high school, they can have an idea of which direction they want to go in, what they might be interested in. It's sad when a kid graduates from high school and they have no clue as to what they want to do, and they have no passion about a particular career path other than playing video games and smoking weed, right? That's their recreational fun, whatever. But we need them to think of how you're going to earn income, how you're going to start a business, how you're going to support a family, support yourself. And that's very important. And I think our community groups need to do a lot more of that, right? We do need the drug treatment programs, the mental health programs, the motherhood, the fatherhood assistant programs. All of that is important so we can have a stronger family and control our family a little bit with some of the mental illness. But when it comes to businesses, finances, career path training, that's way more important than a basketball tournament or a double dutch tournament. And I think we need to spend more of our resources in those areas rather than the recreational areas, because the kids are going to go outside and play regardless. So we don't need to fund so much that. But I see a lot of the community programs, everything is a basketball tournament.
Probably. Just keep on. But a lot, I agree with that 100%. And a lot of things is because we don't get them from our community, but we not getting them programs right there because we don't know. First of all, it's important for you to know what district you live in. Mm-hmm. You got to know what community board you on. You got to know who's your assemblyman. You got to know who's your councilman. You got to know who's your local senator. You know what I'm saying? These are things that we all need to know. So then we can fight for these programs, and we can fight for this funding to get better education for the kids and better this and that and third. We don't know none of these things. So when you see something going on in the basketball, you got a basketball court around your block. So now you'll find out who these people is to throw a tournament. But when your building is tearing down, or people getting shot and killed on the block, or you ain't got no light or you ain't got no electricity, you're not going to find out who these people are. It's important for all of us to know who our local politicians are and what board we under and what district we in, man. It's very, very important. Because we electing the same people every year and you ain't getting no results. And at the end of the day, you don't even know who these people are. The average person don't even know who their local councilman is if they walk past them. You know, so we got to make it our business to know these people and bring these people out to the community that elected them.
I want to challenge my brothers and change the conversation a little bit. Not so much change it, but add this to the conversation what Brother James mentioned in terms of doing leadership in NYCHA. And I know this is probably there to you as well, Tyler. Well, we've got to, if you're training leadership, to take over those, the tenant association, the resident association, you become leaders from that respect as well. NYCHA, they fund a lot of money to resident associations. For the most part, they're older women, have no connection really with the young adults in the community. Tyler, you know, we've talked about that and out there. Yeah, I've had my share of running programs through that, and I know and understand that. And they don't really embrace young adults. So we've got to start running, you know, for those elected positions, our own leaders, identifying those that you know resonate with our spirits, what have you, and so that in doing that, we'll know what's happening, what's going on. We've got, you know, it's no mystery, you know, how these things happen, and we've got to be able to do that, take leadership just like that. So you're doing a leadership program. I commend you on that in NYCHA, my brother. Let's run them for resident association president. Mm-hmm. Take over those boards. You know, you're training them on how to be a leader. Let's put that into action. So that money that they do the tournaments and the public housing and NYCHA and all that kind of stuff, we can redirect that funding to the areas that will help them to aspire to be better citizens.
That's right.
So this is great advice to fathers and mothers, just people living in any community. Mm-hmm. That you want to be in charge of your representatives. You want to know who your representatives are. You should be running representatives. Put your money together, finance a campaign, and run the representatives that are going to have your best interest, that's going to have the community's best interest, and have those representatives really be involved in the community. Because some of them are involved for themselves, right? So we want to have people that are going to work for us, and that's very important. And on the topic of community, there are other places in our community, other programs, other entities, that could also be contributing, and one of those is the church, right? So my next question is, and we have a lot of churches in the black community. So what are these churches? I know some are doing great things, some can be doing more things, but what are our churches doing in the community, and what is the church's role in the community? The church preaches that the father is the head of the household, but there's barely any fathers in the church. And they're preaching to the mothers. So how does that dynamic work when we talk about fathers and it's Father's Day? What is the father's role in the church? What is the church's role in the community? And I'm going to throw that first question to Brother Ron.
Okay, so I'm going to lump the churches, the temples, and the mosque all together because for me, I mean, it's all basically the same. You know, we've been lulled to sleep by what is called religion as opposed to spirituality. And so the leaders, whether they be, you know, preachers, bishops, apostles, or imams, or what have you, you know, like we the big guys inside the building. You know, we yield all that inside the building, but ain't nobody coming out into the neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody, you know, preaching on the corner anymore like it used to be. Ain't nobody embracing, you know, unapologetically, I have a Christian background, but I have a Christ consciousness that far supersedes religion and is in spirituality. And they're not really teaching or preaching spirituality across the board, because that supersedes all kinds of things. And so what happens is that the leaders are lulled in a false sense of security within a building, within a pimp mentality, if you will, across the board, within the building. And so when it's time to come out, then they're reactionary, as opposed to, somebody got shot, now they all out, or the police did that, now they all out. But in terms of really, being out there and in the community across the board, if our Muslim brothers were on top of their game, okay, then those who are not from here, that have the new bodega, wouldn't be selling K2 pipes to our kids, loose cigarettes and that kind of thing. And they say they pray 5 times a day. Okay, that's another question. Similarly, they would have developed those relationships with the Christians or anybody else to understand that we're living here together. And so all of that, when you develop your Christ or your consciousness to a level, all of that supersedes all that kind of stuff. And so within our houses of worship, as I'm going to give it that nuances, because they all fall into the same bag. Houses of worship, we become I don't know what you call it. We become punks in the community, and like big shots inside the building. That's my take on it.
All right. So it's interesting that you say that, because I agree with everything that you said.
Oh, man.
The community, the churches, the house of worships in the community want us as people to come to them, right? But they're supposed to be coming out into the community, right? That building shouldn't be full 24/7. You should have these people out in the community being involved, right? And like I said about the community groups, what does the community need? Financing, that kind of thing, urban farming. Like the church should be involved in that as well. And for me, in my perspective of it, it seems like the church does whatever it wants to do. And in order for you to get help, for the most part, you have to be involved with the church, as opposed to the church coming into the community. And I'm going to throw this to James.
How you doing? I'm James Young III again, Neighborhood Benches community leader. This is a deep question, man. Seriously, man. It might hurt a lot of hearts out there. It might step on some toes.
That's all right.
But I'm agreeing with I'm agreeing with Titus. Right? Hey, listen, man. You touched some vital points, but also, before we can point the finger, we have to go out there. I'm not a member of Church of Heavenly Rest. I'm not a member of St. Luke on 151st and 52nd in Amsterdam. But I went to them for support, and they came out and they supported us in the Knights of Development, all the way in the Bronx. Okay? So it's certain things you have to do. You have to make that initiative step first. I give all praises to all the churches out there that are doing a good thing. And I understand that temple is the church, but it is a temple out there inside these projects and in these streets that's really needed. You understand? You can't just do the work inside the church and don't want to do it out here on the streets. You have to come out here and do the work with these kids. If you want your child or your father or your son to not go to prison, you have to leave the church pool and come out here and do the work with these kids.
And I agree with you. And we're not bashing the church.
We're not.
I want to be clear with that for people, because if we wanted to bash the church, then we would just say we don't need the church. And it would be that simple. We would say the church is not important, right? But what we're asking is for the church to be more involved in the community from the standpoint of coming into the community and not waiting for the community to come to your house of worship, right? So by expressing that, that's saying we do need you, that we do recognize you are important in the community.
Indeed.
Because if we didn't believe you were important in the community, we just would say the church is a waste of time and we don't need it. Right. So I just want to be clear with that, so some of the church heads out there, some of the house of worship know that we're not bashing you at all.
No.
We're actually asking for more help and that you guys come into the community. And I'm going to get K. Bourne's take on it.
Ready to.
Well, it's K. Bourne from my community. I feel that, a lot of the churches lack outreach workers. You know what I'm saying? They don't have outreach workers. And most of the people that have these big programs that get these big funds from the city and the state and the feds and all them, they don't have outreach workers either. So, you got the big money and you got all these openings to do something, but you have no type of connection to the youth and no type of connection to the street. I just went to a board meeting with the 52nd Precinct the other day, and they was up in there grandstanding. They had the lady that's the head of the board, number 7. She was up there in the Bronx. She was up there grandstanding, and she was talking about how it's going to be a wonderful summer, how she's going to stop the crime, how the kids going to do this. And I had to turn around when I got up there because she was like 80 years old. So I turned around. I was like, miss, could y'all all in this room look at the next person that's next to y'all? And everybody looked at each other. And there was about 60 people in there. I said, yo, don't y'all see y'all missing something? They like, what? I'm like, it ain't no young people in here. So who gonna go relay to this relay this message to the young kids that they supposed to be cool in this summer? Because I know none of y'all ain't gonna be there because the youngest person on the community board was like 65. So we gotta like get more young people. The church gotta invite more young people into their choir, into their congregation. It also goes down to the mosques too. The mosques there, and they there every Friday. But that's every Friday they praying. I never see you outside. You never come outside and put no work in for the youth. You never open your arms up for the youth. When we have block parties and all that, you don't attend. You don't make yourself, part of it. It also go down. I'm gonna go deeper than that. I was born a 5%. You know what I'm saying? And our duty as being a 5% is the duty of the civilized supposed to teach the uncivilized. And I've been asking brothers for the last 10 years, what happened to the guards? Because I don't see the guards and the earths out here teaching nobody. You know what I'm saying? They got, they run around, and most of the brothers are still according to the asking each other, what's the day's reality? I mean, it's good to know the day's reality, but it's also good for you to know and do your duty. Because you've been asking people the same, what's your day's reality, for 40 years. Now get out there and deal with life and start helping the youth, man. And that should be a duty for all Muslims, all people in churches, and all 5%. That should be a duty for you to go outside and help your community, man.
I just want to make one correction to the Brother K-Vaughn. Everybody is an outreach worker. Everybody. Nobody got to be designated. So when you said, I just wanted to make that distinction. When you say, well, churches ain't got no. Everybody is an outreach worker. We just take, for example, Jehovah's Witnesses. Everybody responsible go knock on your door. Yeah. You may not like it, but that's what they teach.
That's right.
Everybody got that duty to go knock on the door to outreach. So everybody's responsible for outreaching. But if the leadership don't make that intentional, it don't happen.
Right. And that's what it's not. It's not happening. It ain't exactly. It ain't happening. Ain't nobody making that initiative. I stood on the phone last year. And they had a conference call with the mayor's office with the Thrive NYC. We were doing the interfaith weekend. And it was about 60, 70 different organizations all around New York City on the phone. And all of these organizations are big churches and houses of worship. And all of these places got big funds. All of them. And we on the conference call, I ain't got no funding. But in the whole conference call, there's not one person who knew how to get to the people in the street. They got all these funds, but they was on the phone and they was telling the mayor office, like, yeah, we could do it, but how do we go about getting the people in here? They have no connections to the youth. We got to get connections to the youth.
K-Born, you're right, man. At the end of the day, this is the purpose of Neighborhood Benches, man, and I in my community and other grassroots organizations out here. We know we're doing the hard work. We know we're doing the groundwork. At the end of the day, we can do it without funding or with funding. It's what is in your heart. So I do this because it's in my heart. You know what I mean? I want to be a father, not only to my kids, but a father to kids out there that need fathers. You understand? I got lost, man, at an early age, 13 years old. I was detached from my family because of curiosity. And I didn't have somebody that I could really talk to emotionally about what was going on in my head. And that's what's going on nowadays with these kids. I'm afraid that they might do the things that I did when I was growing up. Just shelter themselves, close themselves in. Reason why I do the work with Neighborhood Benches is because I see kids just like me. You understand? I see kids out there just like me. They crying, but their tears is dry, bro. You know what I mean? They crying real hard, man, and they want help. They want assistance. There's no love there no more. You know how hard it is to talk about love in the community? Mm-hmm. It's hard. These kids don't even know the first beginning of what love is no more, man. Mm-hmm. But we did. We knew what love is. We detached ourselves from it somehow in the way we did. I'm talking about now. These kids need to know what is the purpose of love, man. As a father, that's what we need to start doing. I'm not talking about your kid, my kid, his kid. I'm talking about them kids out there that need a father. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about love. Let's talk about the family. Let's talk about men and women. Right? We can't be fathers without being with a woman. So what is our role as men when it comes to dealing with women? Because I see a lot of brothers have babies from multiple women, never been married to these women, involved with one kid's life but not the other kid's life, and that's very irresponsible.
Yes,
right?
right.
So just strictly dealing with them, right? So when we're involved with women, from the standpoint of teaching our young boys, but then from the standpoint of now we're men, how do we deal with women? What's your guys' take on that? Like, how do we talk about love, how do we teach a young man how to love a woman, respect a woman, even when she's not respecting herself? And why are we dealing with women who don't respect themselves, and why are we having babies with these women?
Man, from the point of view of love, we've got to really understand, what is it? Understanding, loving, starting from ourselves. What is love? And it's an action word. It don't mean that, okay, because you're a man, you got a penis in your pants or what have you, you can make love. That's not it. But we know love when we feel it inside, intuitively. We know what that is. It's different. It's an opposite of hate, opposite of those dark things. We know, intuitively what love is from the time we were in our mother's womb to the time we come out. We may choose to go against it, that kind of thing, but we know love intuitively. As the brother said, we may, go away, hide and all that kind of stuff, which is true, but we got to get back to that central point, as the brother was saying, and talking about it. No, we don't want to talk about it and all that, but we got to get back to that, because that's going to help distinction. When we love ourselves, then we'll be able to identify and love our sister. And brothers, we got to stop with the spirit of abandonment. That baby mama stuff, we get fired. That's because, now you're putting on the sister, you abandoning her. And that's a cycle in the spirit that goes on, perhaps from her dad and what have you. That's why she may be looking for love in all the wrong places, all that kind of stuff. But we perpetuate that by thinking that because we got something in our parents to give us the right to do that, so we'll go out and do that indiscriminately. They get the other part of wisdom that comes in, and we have the wisdom to make certain decisions. Then we keep our zippers up. Until the right one comes, until you feel that true love that comes from within. Not I love the way you look, I love you because you got a big whatever, but you feel it, you got a sense of that, and we know that, and we just got to help our younger brothers, and for us as men, help our younger brothers be able to identify. We have to have those kind of conversations with them. We don't have them in the mosque, we don't have them in the church, we don't have that kind of stuff. We got to break it down very plain and simple, so as they're growing, what have you, they don't run the same game. We can stop that kind of game, that's going on, that we think that, and you got to know that you've been created right. Just like that, the creator, whoever you want to call you, created with a certain number of genes and chromosomes and all that kind of stuff, that you're a male. You can never have the nurturing of a female. That's different. So I don't care how many nips and tucks that you get. You can't do that. It's different. So you can't be a daddy today and 10 years later you decide you want to be mommy. That's a whole different, that's a whole different thing, what have you. So I'm just from coming from the strong male, what we need in our communities, you got to know that you were rightly purposed as you are. There was no mistakes. Sometimes I hear the conversations, well, from others who choose other lifestyles. I feel that I'm a woman in a man's body. That's a feeling. But when you rise your consciousness to a spiritual level, there's a distinction that's made that you were rightly made as you are. Get it together. So, the brothers about going deep and stuff like that, or we put a disclaimer out. I don't know if you got any sponsors, but it was not Tyler. We all speaking on our own and stuff like that, but we've got to be clear, crystal clear about that. I like your lifestyle and stuff like that, but I got to help you understand that, that you were made perfect from the time you was in your mother before then, you were made perfect to come here to do a specific intent, and that is it. I don't care about your feelings.
All right, so Ron makes a good point about teaching our young boys how to love, right? Because a lot of these young boys are getting that lesson from their peers. And it's a 13, 14, 15-year-old telling you about love. And half the time they lying. Let's keep it real. They really don't even know what they're talking about. This conversation should mostly be had with their fathers, father figures, uncles, leaders, that kind of thing, and not the peers. And it's the responsibility of the father to teach these young boys how to love. And I love Lil Wayne's video. That song, How to Love. It's very powerful.
It is.
I'm not a Lil Wayne fan, but that song and that video is amazing. It's called How to Love. You guys should check it out. I'm going to turn this to K-Born. When it comes to dealing with women, because I know you have children from different ages, like almost a decade, right? So talk to me about what that process was like for you, your conscious thinking back then, and how you feel about it now.
Well, you know, a lot of things go from in the household, you know. So like my mom's passed when I was young. So a lot of things that would have been guided out a little better wasn't. So I try to like make that with my kids. Like as far as like my son, you can't be coming here with no whole bunch of females in my house and spending the night with females in my house and doing all that. You know, you got to carry yourself like a gentleman. So he's 20 years old, so I'll stay on him on that from the gate, you know, and make sure that he carrying himself and let him know the difference between you being a young man and you being a playboy or fake GQ gigolo, or, you know, and all that, you know. And like I said, when I was young, I got 3 different baby mothers, right? But all my kids is together. Mm-hmm. You know, all of them got a relationship with each other. And I like made that stick from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever happened, I got to make sure all my kids know each other. Mm-hmm. I got to make sure that all my kids be together. And a lot of people I see that don't do that. You got people that got kids, and this kid can't talk to that kid because the mother don't like this one, and the other mother don't like this. You know, and it's hard on the kid because the kid is standing here and they know that you their father, and you taking care of 2 kids over there. But I'm over here and ain't nobody taking care of me. Mm-hmm. You know, that gotta hurt them because it look like you taking favoritism over kids. You know what I'm saying? You taking favoritism. And plus, if you a man and you go out with a female and she don't accept your kid, or you a female and you go out with a man and he don't accept your kid, and you go for that though. You know what I'm saying? You can't never shoot your kids down. You know, not for no man, not for no female. Your kids come first. You know, and that's like famous in the community, famous in the hood, you know, and it's dead wrong. And it's dead wrong for you to stand right there and to tell your older kids not to deal with the young kid because, oh, your dad just had a new baby. That ain't your sister. That ain't your brother. And you know, it's wrong, man. You got the kids going against each other. They hate each other. They don't like you. They don't like the father no more because you went and had the new kid, mom's boosting this. Instead of keeping all this unity, man, a lot of things, we put a lot of pressure on our kids and put them in a lot of positions that they shouldn't be in at a young age. And it's really like a lot with the Black and Hispanic community. You know, as far as when you get 18, I'm throwing you out. You don't hear that in the white community. Go to school, get your education. When you're ready to move, you move. You're not in here starting no trouble. You're not in here starting no drugs or nothing. We giving these kids a date. So not only how happy could I be when I'm turning 18, when I know I'm getting thrown out tonight, and I ain't got no place to go, I ain't got no job, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got no food, I ain't even got a plan because I just turned 18 like this. You know what I'm saying? And then we also promote a lot of things in the community when they have making us think that we can live a single life. Like you got a lot of females that walk around, Black females, Hispanic females, and the first thing they'll tell you is, oh, I don't need a man. I don't need no man. I can do me. But meanwhile, you on WIC, you on welfare, you on Section 8, you on everything. You know, but you don't need a man.
That's an excellent point. When we talk about putting our kids out at a certain age, shout out to the homeless people out there who don't have food today while we're out there barbecuing, who might be fathers but dealing with mental issues or whatever, veteran issues, and they're homeless. if you see a homeless person out there today, why don't you give them some of the food that you have from the barbecue, or buy them a meal, or say Happy Father's Day? You'd be surprised at the response you might get back from some of our male homeless people that are out there today. So that's very important, and I do want to just address that. And then I want to lastly bring it to James. You're raising a young girl, right? So like you mentioned earlier, it's kind of a chance to start over, do it from inception, right? How are you going to raise her to deal with the men that she's going to meet when she gets older, when she's going to choose, hopefully, a husband, choose to become a mom? What do you envision for her? What's the path?
Oh man, it's very early, but like I told my lady, man, for brothers out there that do have baby moms or children, mother's child, I don't titleize a woman. That's one thing I don't do. The itch word, I don't use that. I hate it. As my daughter and my first daughter, I always told her the same thing. You're a queen. You're a queen first before anything. And you should not subject yourself to any man or any woman that don't acknowledge you as one. Abandonment is the enemy of love. You understand? Abandonment is the enemy of love. Any man that neglects you, any woman that neglects you, don't love you. My daughter, I'm going to love her as I love both of my child. I love their mothers, regardless if I'm with them or not. I love them. See, the thing is, as men growing up, we think because we move on to the next woman that you still can't hold on to that love or that identity that you once had for the first woman you met. And that's wrong. That's abandonment. Mm-hmm. And that's what brings about a cause of chaos inside your household, inside your families. Me as a child, and I say a child because at age 16, you're still a child. You're not mentally developed. You're still a child. And if you have a baby at a young age, you're going to act as a child would act. You don't know the first step of what love is. You have a kid out there in the world, you don't even know how to love yourself first. So it's really hard for you to love your child if you're 16 years old, 15 years old. You can't even derive to that first substance of what it really is to raise a kid. Now I do. Back then I didn't.
So do you have support from your extended family?
Oh yeah, you already know that, man. It's called being ground rooted, man. My family, my daughter, my son, their mother, they rooted me on. Oh, congratulations! We can't wait to see her. This is what you need in every household. Love is a very, very essential part, man. And again, I said it earlier, and I'm gonna say it again. Without love, man, it is gonna be hate, man. It's gonna be hate there. Mm-hmm.
So to all those folks going out to the barbecues, the cookouts today, try to love each other, right? Let's not have no drama. When we wake up tomorrow, we watch New York One News. It shouldn't be somebody died and got shot at a barbecue. Some fathers was fighting and baby mother drama. Like, let's just be responsible adults. So we have 90 seconds left on the program. I just want to throw it to each person. If you just want to say something to a father out there very quickly in like 20 seconds, what would you say to a father or a new father out there?
Much of what we already said, focusing on loving yourself, and then loving, extend it to your family, your children, and just be about the joy of the Lord, man.
Oh yeah. Listen, I want y'all to take this with y'all, man. A father said to his son, "Be careful where you walk." The son responded, "You be careful. I walk in your footsteps." Take heed to that.
Amen. Peace, this K going. I'd like to say to all the fathers, man, especially the young fathers, keep your head up. You could do it. Things gonna be tough sometime, man, but you could get over it and just stay positive. And listen out for the new record we got out on YouTube and everything called What's Peace.
Outstanding. So I want to thank you guys for being on the panel. And again, happy Father's Day to you brothers. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there who's holding it down, to the biological fathers, the stepfathers, the men who are with women, who don't have any children, but you're still a father figure in a sense. You're a head of a household, and to those mentors out there. We love you. Black Pill Radio.
Peace.
Peace.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.